What's up, everybody? My name is Shannon and I am still waiting for my Satyr, and seeing as it is Valentine's Day, I figured this was a perfect time to talk about Let's Talk About Love by Kann. This was actually one of the first books that I saw that had ace representation in it, but I didn't pick it up until now, and that was entirely because it just didn't seem like my type of book. This is a YA contemporary book. I'm very picky when it comes to YA contemporary, and that has to do with the fluff level, and the fluff level is pretty high in this book. I will say that honestly, it's about 270 pages, which is good. It's on the short side. It could have been about 150 pages. I really feel like a lot of this stuff you could have cut down. There was a lot of fluff, a lot of filler. It's not my cup of tea. I know some people really like that stuff. Like I read a lot of fan fiction. Everybody has their own taste. But for me, I just wish that we could have had a little bit more of a focus in on like Alice's life and what she's going through, and a little bit more of like what the meat of the story is about, instead of like, oh, we're playing doctor because boy you like is cute and he's sick, and oh look, now we're going to the beach, and oh, isn't it adorable? And it was just, it had a lot of fluff and a lot of filler. It was just a little bit too much for my taste. But with that being said, I did actually really enjoy this book, and I would really recommend it. And it has everything to do with the fact that this book demonstrates like going to therapy and having open, positive, easy discussions about your sexuality with your partner, with your therapist, with your friends, all of that kind of stuff in a really, really amazing way. And I really loved seeing that. So Let's Talk About Love is about a girl named Alice, and the main theme of this book is basically her figuring herself out and learning all of the different types of love, and how to show somebody that you love them, and how to recognize that they love you back in just little ways, in different ways, in ways that maybe we're not quite as used to seeing in culture nowadays. And she knows that she's asexual. She found this out when she was in high school. She's experimented. She knows this is how she feels. She is just coming off of her sophomore year of college, and her girlfriend, Margot, is dumping her. And she's dumping her because she feels like Alice doesn't want to have sex with her. She feels like she's giving more than she's getting, and all of this kind of stuff. And that's really devastating to Alice, because this is a conversation, this is a reaction that she's had for a really long time. So at the beginning of this book, she's kind of in a low place, thinking, you know, maybe I just shouldn't seek out relationships with people. Maybe I shouldn't compromise myself. Maybe I shouldn't do this, that, and the other thing. And she just doesn't ever want to talk about it. She's been very secure in the fact that she's asexual for a very long time, but she doesn't ever want to bring it up. She even like struggles saying the word to people, and that's something that I identify with a lot, because I discovered all of that stuff about myself very early on, and then I kind of just didn't think about it anymore, and then it came back again, and I still didn't ever really want to talk about it. So I completely understand where she's coming from, but because of that, she just really struggles with getting people to understand, and to getting people to understand like where she's coming from and all of that. Her world comes absolutely crashing down on her when she encounters the most attractive man that she has ever seen in her life, and all of a sudden she's feeling things that she's never felt before, and it kind of completely flips everything that she knew on its head, and she doesn't know what to do. So she decides to go and talk to a therapist, and I love every scene where she's in therapy talking about this stuff, because it's just shown in such an open and easy way, and she really just finally comes out with everything, and just comes out and just starts talking about how she feels about things, the way that she feels when she sees somebody, the way that she feels when she's in a relationship, or any of that kind of stuff, the way that she shows how she loves somebody. And what her and her therapist are really trying to do is break down what's the difference between aesthetic attraction, sexual attraction, romantic attraction, what's the difference between wanting to have sex with somebody and arousal, all of this kind of stuff, things that I have never really seen in a book presented in the way that it is presented in this one, and I really, really appreciate it. I thought it was just really well done, and I absolutely loved that. Now, that only is in about like 4 scenes of this book, so if that's something that you want, but all of the fluff kind of intimidates you, honestly, you can skim. Like, these scenes are going to stand out to you, or if you really want to know where they are, I've bookmarked quite a few of them. I can probably tell you whereabouts that you can start reading if you really want to. But when it comes to her having those discussions with her therapist, her having these discussions with her friends, eventually her having these discussions with with that boy, Takumi, kind of figuring out how they can have this relationship, him figuring out what exactly it means for her to be asexual, what that would mean if they were to have a romantic relationship, like what's okay and what isn't okay. They're really open about asking these questions and figuring things out. It's a very like judgment-free zone, and I really, really like that. Like, we start off the book with a very high judgment relationship, and then after that it's all just, you know what, we're just gonna talk about this and everybody's gonna be okay with it, so we can just explore it and answer any kind of questions that you might have. And while that might not be entirely realistic, I really, really enjoyed it, and it makes you kind of feel good. Like, it makes you feel good to just see these conversations that maybe you read about online, or maybe that you've thought about in your head but you've just never seen represented quite that way on the page before. Not only is Alice asexual, but she's also bi-romantic, so that adds another kind of layer of complexities onto this. That's something that really throws a lot of the people in this book for a loop, because she does want to have romantic relationships with people, and she's got to have cuddles or she'll die, and she loves kissing, and she's very touchy-feely and all that kind of stuff, but it's just another layer for people to kind of have to understand and to think about. And luckily, through Alice talking to her therapist, she figures out how she is able to have these conversations with people, because that's another reason why she never wants to come out and talk about it with anybody who's not already close to her, because she's gotten such horrible reactions before, so she doesn't want it to be all on her to have to explain and what's the difference and this, that, and the other thing, and have all of these terms and these charts. Like, she doesn't think it should be her job to educate people, but she slowly realizes that people aren't going to understand, and if she's able to provide a couple of answers or to kind of help them along, you can start to have that open dialogue, and you can start to have those relationships that she's really been lacking in her life. So I really enjoyed all that. I really thought it was interesting. I'm only giving this book a B+ because the fluff, my god, I'm not kidding. It's a lot of fluff and filler. It's borderline ridiculous at parts, but the way that this book explores relationships and the different ways to show that you love somebody, the way it talks about asexuality, all of that kind of stuff is really, really amazing. And so for those reasons, I do recommend you check out this book. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to hit that like button down below, and don't forget to subscribe so you can talk books with me every week. That is everything I got for you today, and I'll see you guys next time.